We are moving to the writing. Now, again, I'm going backwards. You would start with reading, then writing, then math, but I'm going towards the bigger pieces of the test and working my way backwards. You know from my videos, I always work backwards. It's just kind of the way I do things. You can work any way you want, all right? But now we're gonna focus on the writing. Now, here are some things about the writing. Let me pull up my study plan here. Now, for this study plan, I recommend doing the grammar first. That's not how it is on the test. In the study companion, it's the writing task, the essay first. The reason why I recommend doing the grammar first is because the better you get at grammar, the better writer you're going to be. And it just makes sense to focus those grammar skills really well before you go in and try to write a huge essay. That's my own opinion, all right? So we're going to work on grammar first, but just know you get the essay first, okay? Now let's go to real quick, what we're gonna do for the grammar, it's gonna be a lot like the math. We're gonna take a pretest and we're gonna measure our skills. So we're gonna work on practice test 1, perhaps cold. Maybe you already read through something, just do it again, it's fine. Take practice test 1. Where are you on practice test 1? And score it. Remember, time yourself. How long did it take you to finish? And then based on the content categories, what stumped you the most? Now, there are only 2 practice tests for this section, so I recommend if you really want to keep doing practice tests, don't look at the answer, don't circle the correct answer when you grade it. Just mark it wrong, mark it wrong, mark it wrong, all right? That way you can go back and retake it and you can get a good measure on if you've increased your score, all right? So let's go to the writing here. All right, now, again, it's going to start with, you can see here, text types and purposes, and this is the argumentative essay and the source-based. I'm going to skip down for now, and I'm going to start with our multiple choice. Please work on that grammar. Sometimes I see people's writing, and I'm like, well, they're like, I can't pass the writing, and I see why, because there's a lot of grammatical mistakes. Good grammar, even though they're not grading your grammar, like it's not part of the rubric, those graders are English teachers, okay? And if they see good grammar, you're gonna be in their good graces. So, you know, nothing pleases me more than good grammar. So if you've seen my videos, you know that. So let's go here. So we've got, it's broken up again. So here's the grammatical relationships. And again, sorry to be all around there. We've got all of the specifications underneath grammatical relationships taken directly from the study companion, and notice that we cover it all here. Anything that is here, anything covered in the study companion, we cover in our book. So make sure you read this part of the book. So all of this is here, and then when you scroll down, then there are 10 practice problems just for that. All of these here are just about grammatical relationships. This will help you focus your skills. All right, this is really important. No other book does this, by the way. We're the only one that does this, from what I know. I may be wrong. I could be wrong on that one, but I'm gonna go with it. And then we have structural relationships. Again, we've got our fanboys, and I love this book so much. I'm obsessed with grammar, you guys know, and I love our little brackets and our arrows. We work really hard on these, and our InDesigner, he's amazing. He's in Germany, I think. He does such a good job on these books. And you're also, you know, we also have these quick tips here. This is gonna help you. These quick tips and test tips, I tell you, like the way it's assessed, the traps, things you wanna look for. So please be sure to read through this whole book. So go to the structural relationships, and boom, you've got 10 questions here. And that goes on and on and on throughout the entire thing. Again, you've got your answer explanations, very comprehensive and detailed answer explanations here. You're going to want to make sure you look through those. Now let me go back to my study plan so I stay on track. So we took practice test 1, we scored it, and we looked at the content categories to see where we were low, all right, just to give us an idea. Then Monday, we go through the first section of the book and then the practice problems. Tuesday, second section and the practice problems. Wednesday, third, fourth, and fifth. Fourth and fifth is kind of short, so I put them all under one day here. Now, again, you might be like, grammar's my worst thing ever. I'm terrible at grammar. Okay, maybe you take Monday and Tuesday to go through the first section of the book. Wednesday and Thursday, the second section. Friday and Saturday, the third section. Whatever you want to do, this is just a suggestion, but many people like to check off their study plan. A lot of you are like obsessed with lists, your teachers, so I'm sure you have like sticky notes galore all over the place. This is for you to adapt however you want to do it, all right? Then what you're going to do is either take the practice test 1 again after you've gone through this whole thing, score it. I can't see you going down. The only place I can see you is going up, unless you're like already high, Score it. Then evaluate those answer explanations. Why did I get it wrong? Why did I get it right? Because you may be guessing on that grammar. You may not know, like you may say, oh, because it sounded correct. That's not the way you work through grammar. Grammar has rules just like math. It has rules just like math. There is a formula and a reason why we do things in these sentences. It is not because it sounds correct. It's because it is correct based on grammatical rules, just like rules in algebra and geometry and everything else. You want to make sure you know those rules, and I go through all of them in the book, all right? So you may retake, let's see here. I'm going to scroll on this side here. Let me find it. So you already took practice test 1, but you're going to retake it if you want. And then maybe you go back in, fix up your skills anywhere where you're low. Then finally, you're going to go to practice test 2, and you're going to do that, take a score, and evaluate your answer choices here, reading the answer explanations, really thinking about why you got something correct or incorrect, and then deciding, am I ready or am I not ready? And then if you're not ready, you go back in, and if you're ready, good to go, do it, all right? So the second part of the writing is going to be the essays, all right? So now this tends to give people the most problem. However, if you can get those extra points in the grammar, it'll help pull you along in the essay. The good news about Praxis Core is that the writing is a combined score of essay and the multiple choice. So get those points where you can. Now, let's talk about the argumentative essay. So on Monday, we're going to read the argumentative essay section, and we're going to do some practice prompts. And notice I have Tuesday, you're going to practice. Wednesday, you're going to practice. Thursday, you're going to practice. Friday, you're going to practice. I often get emails, people saying, I've taken the writing 5 times and I can't pass. And that is extremely frustrating. And I completely understand how, it's awful. You spend all this money and you're not getting there. But then usually 9 times out of 10 times when I ask, what are you doing to practice your writing? The person has no idea. What the person says usually is, well, I watched your YouTube video. Okay, good. Watch the YouTube video. But are you writing every day? Are you practicing your writing every day? Remember, incremental practice over time is going to help you. You don't necessarily have to write an essay every day, but you could do just the details, just write the detail paragraphs, or practice your intros. Practice writing those intros, or practice coming up with a thesis statement. Whatever it is, you gotta practice. Watching one video on writing, if you're struggling with writing, is not gonna help. And now some of you whose first language is not English, this is so difficult. And I am in awe of you guys. Like, if you took me and put me in another country and asked me to write an essay, and I do tests for a living, I would not be able to do it. All right, so if English is your second language, you also need to write every single day, okay? Incremental practice over time, and the new book has a lot of prompts in it, so it will help you. Now, I just want to make it clear, you can't just watch a video and then hope for the best. You got to write. And you got to do it on the computer, and I would shut off your grammar check and your spell check. Which I think is so ridiculous, you guys, because in life, we have grammar check and spell check. I just think it's so unrealistic to not have that. But whatever, I'm not the one in charge, obviously. I'm not the one in charge, because if I were, things would be different. Let me tell you what. Okay, of course, I think I know it all, right? Like Bethany Frankel says, maybe I know it all, but I don't know it all. All right, so let's talk about this. On Monday, we're going to read the argumentative essay section. Let's go check that out now. Let me go back here. It's all the way up at the top, isn't it? Yes, it is. Hold, please. Okay, so this is the argumentative section. Again, this is the test specification here. So this has everything in it, and we cover everything here. Now, the second thing you really have to think about, especially for those of you who are struggling, is the rubric. A lot of people don't even look at this. They just hope for the best and they write their essay. No, you got to write for this task. It's very different than just writing. Some people say, oh, I'm a great writer and I can't pass this test. Well, you might be a great writer, but you got to write to this task. So we want to be at a score of a 4. This shows competence. This is like a passing score. Could you be a 5? Yes. Could you be a 6? Sure. But we're not trying to be the next great American author here. We're trying to pass this test and get on with our lives. So if you can just focus on the 4, you're going to be good to go. There's a couple of differences between a 3 and a 4. Lots of people get this 3 here from their graders. And usually it's because they don't use specifics in their essay and they don't keep their essay organized. That's usually the main reasons. Now I have a bunch of videos on the essay. I'm going to show you how to get them later, but that's really important. So use this rubric here to grade your own essay. All right, so it's Monday. I'm starting my essay section. Couple things here. This part of every prompt is going to be the same no matter what. So on test day, you don't have to sit there and waste 10 minutes reading this. Here's what it's saying. You have 30 minutes to do the argumentative essay. You have to write on the topic that's given to you here. And then it says what you should do. Consider the topic, organize your thoughts, take care to write clearly and effectively, blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's what this says. On test day, when you get this, you can skip over this section because it's right here and you've read it 100 times. All right? So that'll save you a couple of minutes and you need those minutes. Now, you're also going to have your scratch paper. When you practice at home, practice organizing your thoughts. Starting from the beginning and just, going through this thing is not going to work. And again, I have a whole video series that's free that shows you how to do this. We also have a writing course that goes even more in depth, but there's a free video for this as well. Now, here's how it's going to work. You're always going to get this opinion here. It's usually going to be fairly one-sided. It's going to be easy for you to either agree or disagree. And then you're going to write your response. So here's my suggestion on how to do this. On day 1, you're going to read this, and then you're going to read the sample essay, and then you're going to read why it is good. Why is it a 4? Well, it's a 4 because of this, 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 and this. All right. Then I recommend you write to this essay. Yes, you already have this information from my essay in your head. That's okay. This is just a practice essay. Write it. See how quickly you get through it. Time yourself. Can you do it in 30 minutes? If not, how long did it take you? All right. Then what I want you to do is there's another one here. The next day, you're going to try this sample prompt. This is prompt number 2. I have a 3-paragraph essay here. There's several ways to write this essay. I have a 3-paragraph essay here. This will work too. I show you why it's a 4, and then I show you a non-example of why it's a 3 or less. Take a look at that. But what I would do for this, before you read my essay here, I would read this and write your own essay. Okay? Then go to the rubric. Score your writing based on the rubric. Don't just go, oh, I think this is good. Well, there's a whole measure here. You need to use the rubric. Another thing is, if you are grading your own essays, you don't have somebody to look them over for you, which is probably the reality for most of you. Put that essay down for at least a few hours. Because if you reread an essay you just wrote, you're gonna gloss over some of the mistakes. I even say put it down and for the next day, like put it down for a day and go back to it. Because again, if you reread it after you just wrote it, you know what you were trying to say, so that kind of influences you and you might give yourself a higher score. So put it down, go do something else, revisit it the next day and see how you do. Be honest with yourself. Are you in this 4 range or are you not? If the essay doesn't make sense to you, if you have trouble reading over a sentence, then the grader is also going to have that problem, okay? So really think about that. And then for all the following days, let's keep going here, we have 10 additional argumentative writing prompts. That means you could write 20 essays here because you could write pro or agree to 1, disagree to 2, agree to 2, disagree to 2, agree to 3, disagree to 3. You can write this from 2 perspectives here, which really helps you with writing. So for those of you who are like, I can't pass the writing, what can I do? Write every single day, 30 minutes a day. Or if you're like, I can't do that, I can't commit to that. Okay, fine. Write maybe 15 minutes a day and just write your details. Don't worry about your intro. Your intro kind of, and you'll see from my videos, your intro is kind of driven by the prompt anyways. If you can get really good at writing those detail paragraphs, you're going to be good to go. So there's 10 argumentative writing prompts there. Use them, 1 a day. I am telling you, if you write 1 a day and then grade your writing based on the rubric, you're going to get better. But if you just watch a video and you hope for the best and you go in, you're like, man, this is the 5th time I've taken the test, but you haven't changed your approach. Remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. Okay? So commit. If you really want to pass that writing, commit. I put 10 prompts in there, and writing to the side that you don't necessarily agree with is a really good exercise because it helps you in your writing. All right. So that's something you can do there. Okay. Let's go to the source-based and then I'll take some questions. Okay. Now with the source-based, let's go back to my study plan, make sure I'm on track. Okay. So we read argumentative essay section. And then for this, I just did a week-long plan here. So maybe you're like, after prompt 3, you're good. Like you've done enough practice, you feel good, your essay's fine. Maybe you're still struggling. Well, then you need to go next day, prompt 5, next day, prompt 6, next day, prompt 7. There's 10 of them there. So you could pull out this study plan. Do I think you should write 3 prompts a day? No, only 1 prompt a day. Stretch this out over time. You get better by incremental practice over time. That's the key, okay? Now let's go to source-based. A lot of people get freaked out by the source-based, but I actually think it's easier than the argumentative because they give you everything you need to write this exam. All right, so on Monday, we're gonna read, let's go to my writing section here. Here we are, source-based. It's called the informative explanatory text, but that's the source-based. So what you're going to do is you're going to focus in on this rubric, same thing as the argumentative, but this rubric's a little bit different because it's a different task. Remember, you only have 30 minutes for this, so you got to keep it short and sweet, and you got to practice to keep it under that time. And I have the steps to writing it here because the source space is kind of crazy, and if you stick to these steps, it'll be really good. Again, in the directions of the prompt, once you read this once in our book, you do not have to read it again on test day. And this is quite a lot. So this will save you maybe 2-3 minutes, which are valuable time. So once you really understand what's going on here, you don't have to read that on test day. What you do have to read on test day, which is very important, is the assignment. Because remember, the assignment is what outlines the issue. There's a lot of good information in here that you use to write your intro. Okay. And again, I have a whole video on how to do this essay. Right now, I'm just showing you how to use the book. Here are your sources, source 1 and source 2. It's basically mini essays written by other authors here and here. Remember, based on my strategy, you are not going to read these. You are going to figure out little pieces that you can pull from each one. You do not have to read this whole thing to finish this task. Again, reference my source-based essay writing video because this is going to take you too long. And I show you how to do all that. And then I have a sample. So you're going to want to read through all of that. Okay. You're going to want to read through all of that. And then I show you why it's a 4. Now I want you to go back, just like with the argumentative. Now you try. Your turn. Same sources here. Try your own way. See how you do. all right? Maybe you combine. Maybe 2 paragraphs here, 2 detailed paragraphs is too much for you. Maybe you combine this into 1 detailed paragraph, but you're very clear about what you're talking about. That's okay too. That's okay as well, all right? You got to figure it out. And then I show you why this is a score of a 3, okay? Now you try it. Here's what I want you to do on the following day. Next day, let's go. Next day, source-based practice prompt 1. Monday, you read it, you did an essay, that's it. Put it down. Go do something else, like take a rest. Tuesday, come back, or the following day, whatever day it is, come back. Now you're gonna practice. You may wanna review a little bit, but now it's your turn to go in. Here's, I left off some of the information, but you know what it says here, read both passages carefully. This is all the same as it is on test day. You know what to do, but this is very important here. You want to, for sure, read that. And then, this is not me being self-promotion. It's hard to find work out there that we can copy and put in our books. And so this is from my dissertation, just so you know. And then you read, well, you don't read all this, remember, you don't have to, but then you are going to write your source-based essay based on what we talked about in the book. Then you might want to read this one here to check. What are you going to do when you grade your essay? You're going back to the prompt to see how you did. All right, that's really, really important. And then I have extra source-based prompts here for you. Another one. So you really have, let's go back to the study plan. You have 2 more source-based prompts here. Now, source-based prompts are huge and they're really hard to write. So we only have 2 here in the book, but you can reuse them over and over again. And you can just, find 2 opposing opinions and do that. It's very, very easy. Now, remember, you're going to read your essays back to yourself and you're going to score them. You're not going to read them on the same day or within the same hour of writing them. You want to take a break from them, all right? You want to take a break and then reread them later, okay? All right, so that completes the writing section.